is gonna be famous.
Alright, welcome to Geekborn, and by now you can tell we're going to be talking about Bo Burnham's MTV series, Zack Stone is Gonna Be Famous. If you haven't seen the show yet, rush over to Netflix right now and watch it, because we are going to be talking about spoilers. Specifically, what I want to be talking about is the ending of the show, but of course we got to talk our way through the show and how we get to the ending. The spoilers ahead for the show that's basically 9 years old at this point. So for starters, I like the newer style, or different style of storytelling that is done in the show. Very interesting, extremely meta, which is exactly what I'd expect from Bo Burnham. Bo, who ends up playing the titular character Zack Stone, an 18-year-old who recently graduated from high school and is using his savings to hire a film crew for the summer to follow him around and to film his rise to fame. And every week, or every episode, he ends up trying something new to become famous, because you never know what you could be famous for. There's a whole lot of things that he hasn't done, so, you never know what you could be good at. You see the person that he wants to portray on the screen and how that clashes with his real life, trying to cut out some personal and embarrassing things, and even some people, like his best friend, Amy, though he eventually ends up starting to hang out with her more, and she ends up being included more into the series. And of course, one of my favorite things throughout the show is Zack and Amy's relationship together, and how much we get to see overall of them and kind of their back and forth. At first, he doesn't want her to be a part of the show, even though they've been best friends for most of their lives at this point. Of course, she's very cute, but she's not the style of what he thinks should be the star of this show. His love interest, he chooses the most popular girl from his high school that recently also graduated to be his love interest. So he finds Christy. She really just wants to be around for the cameras. We find out, eventually Zack tries to hang out with her outside the show, but that's not what she wants. Zack thought it was going to be more, and he gets kind of crushed. Amy, throughout the show, she eventually meets a guy named Nick. He's a personal trainer. They meet at the gym. They start working out together, and eventually they start dating. Whenever they start dating, this starts making Zack jealous, and he starts to realize how much he actually cares for this girl more than just a friend who he previously thought, it's nothing, I just like her as a friend. And then as you go on, you see more. It's shown a few times throughout the show. People see how he feels, and he doesn't really get it. There's plenty of romantic tension between Zack and Amy throughout the series. Unfortunately, the show is only one season, but it does end up wrapping up in a fairly decent way. Towards the end of the show, Zack Stone is going to be scary. One of the episodes, towards the end of the series, the main part of the show, Zack is trying to scare his younger brother, who's only a couple years younger than him. Zack has everyone leave eventually after they scare everybody, do the whole scare thing, and Amy and him are going to clean up. But his brother comes back into the to the building, to the house, to grab something, and he ends up seeing Zack and Amy kissing. And of course, it's a moment I've been waiting for. I'm sure many of fans who were watching the show were waiting for something like this to happen. Yeah, Amy kind of cheated on Nick by kissing Zack, but as Zack says, Nick's the worst. This does end up leading to some things being awkward between Zack and Amy for a bit, until they end up eventually confessing their feelings. Zack's shenanigans throughout the whole entire series ends up getting him put on the local news, so he uses this to share his feelings with Amy instead of doing something crazy that would get himself, more spotlight. Amy ends up going to the news studio when she sees this, and she tells Zack that she feels a similar way. She really likes him, and things seem that they're going to be going great for these two. Exactly what we want them to be. This is what we wanted. This is what they wanted this whole time. But as they go to leave, the gate opens, and there are fans waiting outside that saw Zack on the news and saw what he was doing for Amy. Of course, they ask about Amy at first, but quickly all of the focus ends up going onto Zack. And Zack starts signing autographs, and he slowly starts humming the theme song of his, and we focus on Amy's face. And her smile just fades to this absolute look of despair, with how quickly Zack went from not worrying about being famous, talking about completely giving it up, to almost completely embracing the bit of fame that he is getting already, and shows that she might get left behind. He told her, like I said, that he was going to give it all up. Those people just added fuel to the fire by showing up, screaming his name, asking for signatures. I don't think things would end up too well, unfortunately, despite Zach's issues. I was rooting for him this whole time, and Amy in the end. Zach is a decent showman, but honestly, he's not good at a lot of things. So I don't know if he's actually going to become famous. I feel like he'll probably stay jobless for a period of time because he feels like he's going to be famous because he's got these fans now, obviously. Amy will probably end up supporting him for a period of time, which is unfair for her, taking care of him for a while until eventually things probably won't work out. It's so frustrating how things end up for these two because honestly, I wanted things to work out. I was waiting the whole season for them to get together, and it's almost instantly thrown in our faces at the end of the series. They finally get together, and then less than 5 minutes later, things are going terribly. I know that's kind of the point. That's what Bo does. He makes statements and points with his mediums. If you've watched any of his comedy specials, listened to any of his music that he's released, that he's got in these comedy specials, you would know that's the thing that Bo Burnham does. Even though earlier Zach had a self-reflection and he was going to throw away the whole idea of being famous, his ego just would not let him do it. As soon as he saw fans, they were screaming his name, they were wanting his autograph, that was it. There was nothing left that could be done. Anyone who wants to stop at nothing to be famous won't throw it away as soon as it's handed to them, especially after all the work that he did throughout the summer. It's not surprising that he's going to just jump into this as soon as it is there for him. We just know that in the end, Zach Stone is going to probably get everything he ever wanted, whether that turns out well or not. That's it. It's very sad, but it's a good show. Kind of cringy at times, but I definitely recommend checking it out, especially if you're any kind of fan of Bo. I guess that's it for this one. So remember, some of us are born geeky. You have a good one.